What's up everybody, Johnnie Omega here, giving you my review of Aladdin. This is a live-action remake of the Disney classic we all know and love. This movie stars Will Smith, Mena Massoud, and Naomi Scott. This is the part of the review where I usually go over the synopsis, but come on. Who doesn't know the story of Aladdin? So the real question is, how does it compare to the original? And I'll get into that a little later in this video, but first, let's talk about what I liked about the movie. First and foremost, my favorite part of the movie and what I think the best part of the movie was actually what a lot of people thought the worst part of the movie was going to be, and that's Will Smith as the genie. This is a perfect example of why you shouldn't overreact when you see casting, and why you also shouldn't overreact when you see screenshots of the movie. Context is everything, and when you see things play out in full, it can totally change what your initial impression was. I personally never thought the CGI of the genie was as bad as everybody else thought it was, but when it comes to the CGI, nothing changed. They didn't tweak anything or change anything. What you saw in the trailer is exactly what you saw in the movie, and it worked for me. His performance in the movie is basically a slightly exaggerated version of himself, and I think that worked very well during the parts of the movie where he played the human form of the genie. I think it's safe to say that if you don't like Will Smith's performance as the genie, you basically just don't like Will Smith. He was supposed to be the funniest part of the movie, and he delivered on that for sure. He had the impossible task of taking on this role after what Robin Williams did, and I love the fact that he took this role and made it his own. I like how he went as close to Robin Williams as he possibly could before it became a straight-on impersonation, and then filled in the rest with his own personality. You never got the impression that you weren't watching the genie, while at the same time never getting the impression you were watching a cheap knockoff. I also liked the performances of the main characters of Aladdin and Jasmine as well. I thought Naomi Scott and Mena Massoud did their characters justice, and I have no complaints on what they did with their roles. All the songs you know and love are there, and everybody pretty much did a good job with their singing parts, but Naomi Scott definitely stole the show when it came to that. As far as what I didn't like about the movie, I would say that the biggest problem was the pacing was pretty much all over the place. It's a little over 2 hours, which is about 30 minutes longer than the animated version, and you definitely feel that extra length at certain parts in this movie. In the same way I didn't get into the synopsis earlier in this video because I kind of assumed you already knew what you needed to know going into this movie, the movie itself pretty much makes that same assumption. When Jasmine first shows up in the movie, my initial thought was, we're at this part already? That actually gave me the impression that this movie was going to be fast-paced, but in hindsight, I think they pretty much just did that to free up time to do other things. And also there were parts in this movie, especially near the beginning, where the dialogue really didn't work that well. There were lines that were delivered almost word for word from the animated version, but it just didn't seem right to me hearing those same lines coming out of a live-action person. From an acting standpoint, the only actor that I really didn't like was Marwan Kenzari, who plays Jafar. His performance in itself wasn't bad, but I don't think he was cast correctly. He wasn't menacing at all, and I think a big part of that was the age that he looked. He's second in command in the palace, and when he gives his backstory, it's just hard to believe that all of this was attained by someone who looks like he's the same age as Jasmine and Aladdin. I don't have a particular actor in mind of who I personally would have cast in the role, but whoever I would have cast definitely would have had a bigger age difference. So in conclusion, the acting was good, the singing was good, the performance of Will Smith stole the show. I like the fact that this wasn't a shot-for-shot remake of the original, but I don't think all of the new material that they put into this movie worked as well as they wanted it to. And that particular aspect really knocked this movie down a notch for me. All that being said, I like the movie, so I'd say it's worth a watch. So comment below and let me know what you guys thought of the movie. And also, I'd specifically like to know what you guys thought of Will Smith as the genie. Even though I like the animated version better, and I like Robin Williams' version of the genie better, I still like what Will Smith did. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to see what we got coming next.